This is the notes for 2.1 and 2.2 square roots. We're going to start by just making a list of all of our perfect squares. A perfect square meaning that I did 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3. Okay, so when it has that x compared to the x squared, this 1 squared means that we did 1 times 1. Or the 2 squared would mean we're supposed to do 2 times 2. So in your calculator, there's 2 ways you can go about this. I could physically type it in, or your other options are I could go 1 caret. That'll put it to the second power. Tomorrow we're going to learn about putting things to the third power. Okay, so the only way I can do it to the third is by that method. Or if it's only squared, I can simply go 1 and then hit this button right here that has the square. Okay, either way we'll get the same answer. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, we'll keep going. On most multiplication charts, it's usually highlighted a different color. It's going diagonally through your multiplication chart. So your next one would be 6 times 6 makes 36. 7 times 7, 49. 8 times 8, 64. 9 times 9, 81. 10 times 10, 100. Those are hopefully ones we can memorize. Okay, then from there, I'll go ahead and put the one in our calculator so we can double check. So for example, 11 squared, 11 times 11, 11. And then I can hit this button right here that has my squared. 11 times 11, 121. 12 times 12, if I don't want to use the square, we can hit the caret. But then we have to type in that's to the second power, not to like the third or the fourth or anything else. 12 times 12, 144. 20 times 20, I can square it, 400. Okay, and this last one, we're looking for something times something to make 2,500. Okay, that's where we're going to introduce this symbol right here. Okay, so it's called our square root. This symbol denotes the positive squares that make that number. Okay, so for example, the square root of 81 right here equals 9. Or the square root of 100, when I'm looking at my table, is 10. Okay, so to find the square root of 2,500 and to finish that table, this time it's in blue on my calculator. So I need to hit the second button first and then my x squared. Okay, that second button gets you to all these different commands that are above and aren't actually on the keyboard. Okay, so my x squared, undoing that, is to take the square root. And to get to that, we have to hit the second one first. That little second will appear, and that'll show that you can get to any of the blue ones, and then I hit my x squared. So the square root of 2,500 is 50 times 50. All right, couple special things too within square roots is that if it's just s squared, then it could be something positive or negative. Okay, so for example, if I was going to make 81, I could do 9 times 9 to get 81, or since a negative times negative results in a positive, I could also have an answer of negative 9. Okay, just like in this example up here if you want to circle it. So negative times a negative makes a positive. Okay, anytime they start you with that square root button though, I only have to write the positive answer. Okay, so notice when I did the square root of 100, that was just 10 times 10. But if it's open-ended, it's anything squared, that has the possibility of then I can include a negative. Okay, so in our next one, the square root of 4.5, I need to go to this command up here in the blue. So I'm going to hit second first, then my square. And when I type in 4.5, notice it gives me a big long decimal. This is not a real number, okay? Its decimal's going to go on forever and not repeat. So I'm just going to copy down the first 2. So I'm going to say 2.12 when I round it. And only a positive answer works. Okay? If it was x squared equals 4.5, that's when I could say 2.12 or negative 2.12. Okay, so just notice the difference there. X squared is when I have the positive or the negative value. Okay. One more, if it's a fraction, treat it as like 2 separate problems. So in this one, I'm really looking for the square root of 1 over the square root of 9. Well, what times what would make 1? 1. And then what times itself would make 9 would be 3. Since they had this square though, just like last time, I could also have negative 1/3 times negative 1/3 equal 1/9. If I put that in there, negative times a negative will also result in my positive. Okay, so if it's under the square root, I only have to write 1. If it's something squared though, I do need to write the positive and the negative. Sometimes you'll see it as a plus with a minus sign underneath it. That works as well. So I could say plus or minus 9 instead of writing out both of them. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and try this hard part about today is how do I estimate them. So I'm guessing between which two numbers is my square root. Okay, so notice 74. If I was to put that in my calculator, second square root 74, I get this big long decimal. Okay. Our big purpose for today is to estimate what we think it would be close to without putting it into our calculator. Okay, I have my square root symbol, so it's just going to be a positive answer. In order to make an educated guess, I have a dot graph here for you. So if I had 74 boxes, my goal is to guess which two numbers is it between. Okay, so I can visually see 8 times 8 would make 64 boxes. 9 times 9 would make 81 boxes. So my 74 is in the middle between these two sides. So when I guess my decimal, I want to guess 8 point and then something a little bit more to get to 74. Okay, so when it comes to the test and you're showing your work, I want to see the square root of 64 is 8. The square root of 81 is 9. And then my square root of 74 is there in the middle. Okay, and then to make an educated guess, I want to figure out which one is it closer to. So from 64 to 74, you'll see in your teacher's answers key that they'll say like this is 10 away. From 74 to 81, 81 minus 74 is 7. Okay, so from there I can see it's actually pretty close to the middle. If this number was the square root of 80, then I would guess like 8.9 because there's only one away from here. If it was the square root of 65, then I would guess like 8.1 because I'd be really close. So I'm guessing anywhere on the number line between 8 and 9, and the difference of 10 to 7 is pretty close in the middle, but it is slightly more towards towards my 9 squared. So I'm going to guess something more than 8.5. I'm going to guess 8.6. Okay, you can double check in your calculator today, so I can do the second square root button again. But on the test, you want to be able to guess first. So your teachers are going to want to see your work. What two is it between? And then make an educated guess. Is it exactly halfway? Is it closer to one than the other? Or if it's really close, then I would guess like 8.9 or 8.1. But my guess does have to be between these two numbers. Okay, so let's try 13. My square of 3 times 3 is 9. My square of 4 times 4 is 16. My 13 is in the middle there, right? So it's kind of a funky box. It's not exactly a perfect square. So this is a decimal that does not stop, does not repeat, but we're going to try and guess what's it closest to the 10th place. So I'm going to write my work of the square root of 9 is 3. The square